Testing, testing. Sorry, 1 second. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, wait, let's see if this works. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Alright, last step, seeing if the game still works. Oh my god, it does. Wait, one more audio check. Alright, we're actually good this time. Hello everyone, I'm back. For those of you who don't know me, I go by Mixed Gray Online, and I am a Suzerain streamer. I found this game a long time ago, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and I started streaming it. So I did a full playthrough of the original Sordland game, and most of a playthrough of Kingdom of Rija, which, oh, the game's doing this thing again. Alright. We're almost back. Yeah, that's one little issue I tend to have with trying to stream the game is that it does this weird thing where it like doesn't always how to say respond to what's going on the screen, so you have to like reset it. Not totally sure why it does this. Yeah, it's doing it again. Okay. Yeah, it's a weird little bug. I'm not entirely sure what causes it, but yeah, I'm just gonna let it load in on this screen, make sure it's all working, then try to get the screen capture working again. Thankfully, this is a problem I more or less know how to fix. Okay, blank screen. Nope, it's actually not working again. Yeah, everything y'all see on the screen right now, I don't on my main monitor, which is, again, a really weird glitch of some sort. Okay, so I'm gonna try this again. Yeah, I'm gonna double check if the stream is public. Is it not public? I guess I have more things to... Yeah, no, it seems to be public. Back to control. Analytics, stream health. Okay, it's working. Great. Now I just need stream to work again. Never become a streamer, kids. Alright. Your channel. YouTube Studio. Live. Public. Control room. Excellent condition, allegedly. And the game broke again. Alright. Well, guess we'll do this one more time. At least I know I can just more or less cut out this first full part. If and when I edit these. I'm just kind of trying to have fun with this. Okay. Got the game over here. Alright. Gonna be here. Selector. Suzerain. Share. Reopen. Yeah, I'm just doing it again. I wish I had something to say for this. It's just, oh well. I know that I know that I have a few alternatives for what I want to do. Maybe just capture the screen entirely, but we'll see in a second. The problem is that it's on the main screen. That's not playing correctly. So here, I'm just looking at collections. Now we'll go to properties, open selector. Suzerain, share, okay. I want to see if I can... That did work. Maybe this time they'll load in together. Nope. Yep. Just a blank screen over here. Okay. Oh my goodness, come on. Really? Alright. I'm just gonna screen record. Alright. Right? Again, seriously? This is ridiculous. Come on. Again. Yeah, literally, what you guys are seeing on stream is literally, like, not even on my screen. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why this happens. I really have no idea. Okay, sharing my screen. Play. Remember who is your Suzerain? It's certainly not me to the game. Welcome. Welcome. Alright, are we doing this? Thank God we're doing this. Okay, let's do it. Whew. Happy to be back. So, okay, I was gonna say I might turn down the microphone volume, but sorry. Like, I'm not fucking this up. I'm just gonna speak in a most normal tone that I can. Alright. So, I'm Mixed Gray, and I'm a Suzerain streamer. I'm back to play this game, and I'm incredibly excited to. I'm gonna turn down the music a little bit. Testing, testing. Yeah, I think this should be a little bit lower. Yeah, pretty good. Okay. Not that I really want y'all to appreciate the incredible soundtrack on this game, so I'm actually gonna put it a little bit back up, because I adore this soundtrack. Okay, so we're going to be doing a brand new playthrough. Let's do this. I have learned a lot over the last little while, especially in the last year since I've streamed, and I want to approach this game a lot differently. I want to approach this game from a more expansive perspective, because before I think I was a bit narrow-sighted with what I was doing, and this time I want to get a more comprehensive idea of the game. Let's learn to be politicians. That's the goal of this series. We're going to figure out how to become praying to Dastan will get exiled in Kairut. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So this time we're going to take this a lot more holistically. We're going to take this, we're going to really, really think about our choices. We're going to really, really get into this. And we're going to play this game with the depth that you would need to if you were running a real country. Obviously in a fictional world, which makes my actions more symbolic, which is also what I hope, because these actions will reflect my real beliefs. So what do we name this? Prayers to Saint Dast. That's what we're going at. Let's do this. Torpor mode, manual savings. Yes, we're gonna do this like wait. Yeah. We're gonna do this, you know, straight, okay? We're gonna play this game like it was born to be played. Anton Rayne has been elected the 4th president of Sordland amidst a deep recession, demands for reform, external pressures. His victory followed a campaign focused on turning a new page and recovery from economic hardship, striking a chord with the divided electorate. Now, as his administration takes shape, uncertainty lingers in the halls of power. Rayne faces a nation burdened by institutional fatigue, cautious optimism, and the quiet urgency of change. Sordland is currently a presidential republic with a population of about 36 million people. Our economy is in recession, but we are a major power in the region. 1954 it is. Let's start. You are my enslavement and my freedom. You are my flesh burning like a raw summer night. You are my country. Tazim Hikmetran. Nope, we're going democratic reformer. We're going all the way in this one. You opened 1908, the kingdom of Sordland. You opened your eyes to this world. You came from, I'm gonna say a middle-income family in the city of Holzord because I am a middle-income person, so I'm gonna represent my life a little bit in this. Nope, not being dictator. Your parents named you Anton. As the only child of a diligent civil servant, you lived quite an ordinary childhood. Life was not bad. You were lucky enough to attend a well-known public school, but frequent fights broke out at the Rayne family home, which made you feel uneasy. The years passed. 1923, September 9th. During a history class at school, the bell started to ring unexpectedly. You heard a loud commotion outside. As everyone tried to figure out what was going on, the principal announced the historic revolution. The kingdom was no more. The Republic of Sordland was born. You did not fully understand. Months after the Republic was proclaimed, life around you changed. You watched friends and family face uncertainty, economic hardship, scattered unrest, and resistance from those tied to the old order. In the struggle... Oh! This is different! Oh, okay. So, yes, I haven't played since the Sovereign update, the 3.1 update, so a lot of this is actually going to be a bit new to me. So, I really love that. Okay. I'm going to read this one more time. 1923, September 9th. Months after the Republic was proclaimed, life around you changed. You watched friends and family face uncertainty, economic hardship, scattered unrest, and resistance from those tied to the old order. In their struggle, you envied those who escaped it all and wished for an easier path, easier resources. 2. Sought both pain and perseverance and sought balance between the two. 3. Felt the weight they carried and chose to shoulder even more. Harder resources. Huh. What would I think? That's the way I want to look at this. How would I feel? I think now, where I am in my life, I think I would feel the weight a lot more. Because, like, you know, where I am right now is, like, I'm pretty comfortable, but hardship really faces a lot of us, and I guess I care about, I sincerely do care about that. Strange as it is to admit, you know, I do really care. Felt the weight they carried and chose to shoulder even more, harder resources. I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna take it as it is. After graduating, you passed the university exam with high marks. You had the opportunity to choose between several studies. You chose law at Holzard State, economics at Lakavan Business School, and history at Dyer University of Culture. Probably law. I mean, for two reasons. One, I think law is really interesting, and I like, you know, public speaking. I think that's a cool place to be. But on the other hand, for me personally, I feel like I'd want to stay close to my city, you know? Try to make it better from the inside. So law at Holzard State University. But these are all good options. I think these are all very interesting, and I could see myself at any of them, but I think law. During the first year, you attended a lecture with David Vichy. He was a well-known diplomat from the foreign ministry and the son of the president. After observing the hall in silence, he explained how the Supreme Court is obstructing justice in Sordland. He stated that laws should be applied fairly, and that even the members of the Supreme Court are subject to the same laws. You agreed in principle. 1927, May 22nd. Soldiers entered the campus in the evening ahead of the first election. Many were in shock as the uniformed men created a security cordon and started arresting the teachers. A group of students started gathering in protest. Along with your best friend, Peter Vectorn, you decided to protest with the students. War with Rumburg being harder makes a lot of sense. One of the officers made a loud announcement that echoed through the campus. General Ledaren declared martial law in order to restore the administration. Please stand back and disperse to your rooms. You joined the students that slowly marched towards a large group of soldiers. Suddenly, the soldiers charged. A student fell and was trampled as everybody started running away. See, here's the interesting thing. I'm a small person, right? Holding my ground would probably kill me. I would have to run for risk of just die. If I was bigger, maybe it'd be different, but I would have to run. Unlike the others, you were lucky to escape. It was a gloomy year. The arrested teachers were replaced by those that promoted conformism to the state. Holzer turned a blind eye to the things that were happening. You didn't want to stay idle, and you decided to join a human rights group, a student council, a political debate group. I think a student council makes the most sense. Human rights group is really interesting and really strong, but I feel a student council, at my opinion, it would be the most obvious place to direct change, because if you're within an institution, within the school that is, you know, already respected, pushing for trying to reform things right where you are would make for the best outcome, in my opinion. I think all of these are good. But for me, the person I am, the way I'm thinking about this, I would go with a student council. But these are all excellent options. You can't really go wrong. The council was focused on increasing the student involvement in the campus along with partaking in the budget. Great. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Through active participation, you gained budget management and leadership skills. In one of the meetings, Peter Vector introduced you to a classmate of his, Monica. You're immediately attracted to her intelligence, her beauty, and her diligence. Excuse me. Her diligence. Someone who cares about something and works hard to get it. I sincerely am attracted to that. She mentioned to you that she was a volunteer for the Social League of Women, an organization campaigning for women's rights. You told her you wholeheartedly supported her. The politically charged environment led you to... Yeah, I'm not taking the neutral stance here. I'm joining the Red Youth. I'm not a nationalist in the slightest sense of the word. So, join the Red Youth, the socialists. The radio relayed that the communist general Ricard surrounded Ledaren and his troops, demanding their surrender. They refused, and heavy fighting broke out across the country. You just couldn't believe it. The army was fighting amongst themselves. Sordland plunged into chaos. Sorry, 1 second. Ricard's sudden attack caused more instability in the country, but compared to the nationalists, Ladaren was a real socialist. This convinced you to participate in a support march. You were chanting freedom, equality, and solidarity. I'm not doing a dictatorship run. You were marching under the protection of Ricard's soldiers. The students supporting Ladaren's coup gathered a few hundred meters in front of you. Many nationalists were among them. You knew something was going to happen. You stayed. There was a massive clash between the two sides. Soldiers began to beat students. Tanks started rolling forward. In this chaotic moment, you saw a young girl about to get ran over by a tank. You ran to save her. But you couldn't reach her in time. You never forgot her face. The clash has escalated into a full-blown civil war. The horrors made you isolate yourself for a while. Monica helped you cope, and love grew between the two of you. However, it was a difficult time for love. The chaos had to end. The charismatic Colonel Tarkin Sol orchestrated a sudden attack on the capital, where the Ladarenist and Ricardist forces were battling each other. He defeated both, ending the war. A new constitution was written, and the military government began efforts to restore stability. Many people saw the Colonel as a savior. He formed the United Sordland Party and ran as a presidential candidate in the first ever single-party elections. You voted for the United Sordland Party. USP won the election by a large majority. The military government announced a 4-year restoration period to transform it into an entirely civilian government. After graduation, you kept seeing Monica. You were both interested in marrying and starting a family. However, a letter arrived from the military, calling you to fulfill your compulsory service. It was time to serve your national duty. The devastating civil war from neighboring Velen quickly turned into a proxy war between regional and world powers. The distinguished Major Joseph Lancia ordered you to lead a squad on a border patrol mission. It was a very cold winter night when you began marching out of Gumrin Outpost. You could see your breath. After several hours of marching through the snowy hills, distant voices were heard. Visibility was too low to confirm the source, so the squad crawled forward in formation and found a spot to observe. A group of refugees made it back beyond the border. A group of refugees had made it beyond the border fence. You let them slip through. After the patrol, Major Lancia arrived with anger and immediately relieved you of your command and calling you a disappointment. One of your squad members had reported your actions. After several months of scrubbing floors as a punishment, your duties ended and you went back to civilian life. You and Monica decided to share your lives together. After receiving the blessing of her parents, a ceremony was held in Holsard. During the same year, you worked hard to secure a high-paying job within the governing United Sordland Party. It was much more difficult to start a career on a good foot because of the refugee incident, but you still manage. It was the best opportunity to change the country for the better. You became the legal assistant to one of the more experienced members of Assembly. You worked long and hard, going through hundreds of pages of legal documents late into the night. You were climbing the ladder. Tarkin Sol gave amnesty to the remaining factions of the Civil War and chose de-escalation and appeasement. The institutions and symbols of the former kingdom were slowly replaced. His government launched several new initiatives, such as a citizen-funded bills program to revitalize the economy, a social labor initiative to help rebuild and improve society, and a large dam project to solve the energy crisis. The first multi-party elections in the history of Sordland were held. President Tarkin Sol was elected once more. The ongoing legal battle between the Justice Ministry and the Supreme Court put you under a lot of stress, but your significant contribution to the legal case triggered an invitation to meet President Tarkin Sol himself, who offered you a key position. You were to become the youngest member of Assembly. You accepted right away. As the youngest MP, it was difficult to connect with the influential inner circle. You needed allies, so you brought in Peter Vectorn as your right-hand man. The birth of your son Frank provided a brief moment of joy and relief. You. This is such a hard choice because I would be burning to just spend time with my family and relax and take care of my kid, but this is such a critical opportunity. Like, you're the fresh meat. You need to build alliances as quickly and as strong as you can to be able to do anything in a system like this. You leave now in such a vulnerable spot. You're putting a lot of risk to not have the allies you need in the future. I really think I have to sacrifice family time to improve my position in the party. as much as it hurts me to do so. 1941, rising career. Along with Peter Vector, you did great things to cement your position in the party. Meanwhile, at home, Monica and Frank felt your absence. At the same time, President Sol increased his authority over the years. His growing ego started to cause strife within the USP. The cracks began to show. President Sol barely secured a majority in the election against the opposition leader. Over the next year, the Swordfish people grew increasingly discontent with corruption and the worsening quality of life. Economic growth was slowing down. Meanwhile, calls for a united Sordland Party Congress became louder, and as a leadership struggle started to brew, you joined the internal opposition. Yeah, Sol is getting too dictatorial here. It just won't. It's just not sustainable. You gave your support to Evald Alfonso, a reformist and a talented business magnate who was the main contender for party leadership. Meanwhile, in a desperate effort to secure votes before the Congress, President Sol was meeting party members one by one, but he didn't approach you. The Congress was nothing short of impressive. The banners of the United Sordland Party were decorating every possible spot. Thousands of influential political figures, lobbyists, and benefactors gathered for this turning point. The voting for party leadership had begun. You voted for Evald Alfonso. The efforts bore fruit as the contentious leadership vote was won by Evald Alfonso. During the Congress, Tarkin Sol announced he would retire from politics at the end of his term, and now appointed Alfonso as vice president. You knew the structure he had established was to stay. The country had become increasingly authoritarian. You were happy that Sol was finally leaving. A month later, your daughter was born. Monica named her Deanna. She motivated you during a tumultuous period in the party. As the VP and leader of the USP, Evald Alfonso began dismantling the old organizations and structures established by the USP, such as the State Educators Corps and the Sword State Corporation bills. The general elections were approaching. The United Sordland Party was under new leadership. I think I'd support him here as much, I don't know. You join the party effort and campaign for him. During the general elections, the main opposition leader was embroiled in a sex scandal with his secretary, but he was replaced by the far more popular figure Franz Richter, but the damage had already been done. New economic policies and the extensive privatization program proposed by Evald Alfonso secured an election victory for the United Sordland Party. You did your best in order to make Sordland a better place. The presidency of Alfonso saw many bold reforms in government and law and advancements in liberal and democratic values. He valued your support throughout. However, due to infighting and disorganization, continental economic tensions, and fast-track privatization, it was followed by severe economic recession. The other parties announced their bids for the 1953 election, but the unfair election system hampered opposition efforts to campaign. You were worried about the economic recession. Yeah, that would absolutely be my concern, because, like, again, the whole economy goes down. I don't give a shit about the party. You're worried about the economic recession. With Peter's help, your presence in the USP grew. The two of you worked long nights together. You flipped opponents to your side. You became the face of a new wing of the party. Step by step and with adequate planning, your wing took over the leadership as President Alfonso lost control of the country. The moment to make a move had come. You advised Alfonso to step down. No need to create another enemy. He knows his time is done. I think he'll... Frankly, if he doesn't, then we can take another option. So, advised Alfonso to step down. He listened to your advice. Alfonso conceded the leadership struggle, and the party eventually voted you in because of your indisputable influence. Following this, you announced that you would be running for president in the general election, with Peter as your running mate. It was your turn. After visiting every city and town during the campaign, you made a speech on state television. You promised to enact democratic reforms. The people are tired of empty promises. We need fundamental changes in our institutions and government. A solid, transparent democracy awaits us, brothers and sisters. A new constitution and new age are upon us. The broadcast ended. On election day, millions went out to cast their votes. It was time to face the truth. Chapter 1. President Rayne. Alright, let's take a look. Kind of depends what we're wearing. I don't mind this. Attire. The maroon suit has always looked really good. Tuxedo was too much. Grand is not bad. Yeah. Because that's the thing. I believe in having a distinct look. Idealist? I like that. Yeah, I like the office. Thanks. Pardon me. Yeah, I like this look. You know what? Actually, I do really like the maroon suit. Yeah, we're doing this one. I like this. Excuse me. As Anton Rayne, you have made consequential promises to the people of Sordland to gain their votes in the 1953 election campaign. Consider these commitments carefully. After the recent market reforms and the recession, the country finds itself stuck between two different economic systems, with indecision and turbulence causing the population to demand a direction. So, I think that... Oh, there's a minimum and a maximum now. Interesting. Wow, we don't have much money at all. Yikes. I think a market economy is the best move here because we don't want to be closing ourselves off from the rest of the world. We want to be strengthening our position as a global power. I don't think a planned economy might be good to secure internal resources, but it's really bad at making alliances. Promoting a market economy will allow us to ease off on things, but not necessarily privatize important critical infrastructures such as education or healthcare, but market economy can really help us bring people in. Diplomatically, the global rivalries between capitalist Arcadia in the west and the monarchy of Rumbrook to the north and the communist United Continent in the east are intensifying. Sordland has the potential to align with others or lean towards neutrality. I want to remain neutral. I think balancing the two off of each other will lead to the best results overall, because if we pick a side, we'll get the stability of that kind of move, but if we take the risk and try to align more neutrally, then we have the ability in the future to get more out of it, and again, bringing more people in. Because I'm thinking... Here, I'll finish that thought in a second. Here we go. Immigration policy. In the last 5 years, Bloodish, Vejek, and Agnolian immigrants flocked to Sordland due to the relaxed immigration laws enacted by former President Osvaldo Afonso. As a result, these tensions are causing requests for a political solution. We're going to retain a relaxed immigration here. Immigration is just a great thing. It's a no-brainer here. If we're opening up to a market economy, then we're also able, more effectively, to open up to immigrants, allowing them in, pooling their knowledge all together in Sordland, also gives Runeberg less incentive to attack us. I think encouraging immigration and building the whole economy up as a whole, while also bringing up our entire market and getting our economy out of the recession, which is also a huge thing. Relaxed immigration is really great. Encouraged immigration would be better. Here we go. Education, defense, law and enforcement, and health. I want to go with education here. I've thought about this before. I think that Sordland is in an excellent position to be able to improve their education system and, again, allow for educated immigrants to come in, while increasing the baseline education of the rest of the population. While things like healthcare, law and order, and maybe not defense in this scenario, but though either of those could be a good thing. But I think education is the way to truly advance a country beyond what it's supposed to be. Like having as many people educated as possible and having a high standard for education early on in the, timeline. It's the 1950s. Having that strong base to build off of will overcome our, for example, lack of natural resources, if, that were the case. Sordland does have natural resources, but having a strong educated population really insulates you from a lot of that potential turbulence in, the future. So I'm going to turn focus on education, but let's read all of these. The once praised public education system of the nation has suffered significant setbacks in the last decade. The lack of new schools, high student-to-teacher ratios, low teacher salaries, and even a lack of classroom equipment in certain parts of the country cause massive divergences in the public education system. These are things we can fix. Defense. The Swedish Armed Forces were the nation's most funded branch until the Alfonso government reduced the defense budget significantly. With the increase of saber-rattling threats looming in the north by Runeberg, and a growing presence of the superpowers in the region, the critical deterrence of the SAF matters more than ever. The recently culminating political tension between the different youth groups and socioeconomic pressures between multiple classes of society is increasing the issues of the law and enforcement systems. Police need help keeping up with increased crime rates. Simultaneously, judges and courts deal with an enormous growing backlog of legal cases. Health. Sordland's health system and healthcare quality have stagnated due to administrative inefficiencies, increased service demand, and an increasing divide in service quality between urban and rural hospitals. The average life expectancy has dropped significantly, with issues such as maternity deaths and disease outbreaks. Question: are you a woman or a man? That's for me and God to know. I want to go with education. I think, again, I don't think I would want to go for defense. I don't think I necessarily want to go for law and enforcement. Health is also a really good option, but again, education is the way to push the country further. So we're going to go with term-focused education. Are you sure about your decisions? No, but we make the ones that we can. Let's do this. Two weeks had passed since we won the election. And now, I was about to be sworn in as the 4th president of Sordland. Thousands were watching the inauguration. Thanks, Gnome. Thousands were watching the inauguration ceremony and cheering my name, Anton Rayne. The die was cast. And there my story began. In the distance, the Maroon Palace stood on top of the famous Hill of Pride. I had no way of knowing what future awakened me there. I looked at my family. My son and daughter, Frank and Diana, were next to Monica, my wife. Her eyes were glimmering with pride. Then I turned towards the key people who made it all possible. Of course, each individual was promised an important position in my government. I saw my previous rival and former president, Evald Alfonso, who gave me a slight nod. Tarkin Sol was also invited, but as expected, he didn't leave his island retreat. As my thoughts slowly faded away, the reality of the situation dawned on me. Urso Hawker, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, was waiting on me. The time for the oath has come. I am ready. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will respectfully execute the office of the President of Sordland, and to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend and to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the people and the Constitution of the Republic of Sordland. You may now deliver your inauguration speech, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Hawker. Dear citizens of Sordland, the crowd looked very eager to listen to me. You, the people, have chosen. Together we will bring prosperity and reform to our nation. It is a time of hope. It is a time of change. Our workers are no less productive than a decade ago. Our capable minds are no less inventive. Our products and services no less requested than they were last week, last month, or last year. I promise you, we will stop the recession and eliminate poverty. It is time for a united and powerful Sordland once again. Hundreds of thousands cheered. They were shouting my name in unison. I felt the responsibility, the power, and the burden, all at the same time. Wave. I waved at the crowd, which made the people cheer louder. I took a long look at the people of Sordland to burn this moment into my memory. One of the presidential guards came to notify me that it was time to leave. I made my way to the leading car in the motorcade. The presidential state car was a jet black Cadillo with flags of Sordland above the headlights. Next to it, a man was holding the door. Serge Volkner. Hello, Mr. President. I still felt euphoric from the aftermath of my speech. Hearing my new title made me smile even more. If you'll allow me to introduce myself, I'm Serge, your new driver. Nice to meet you, Serge. It is an honor. He respectfully bowed his head before opening the car door, and gesturing inside, I entered the car. We will be heading towards the palace. The motorcade began to move. On the way, Serge proceeded to explain his duties as a driver. As minutes passed by, I found myself lost in thought again. Barely paying attention to what he was saying, he suddenly gestured at the window. Isn't it a beauty? The Maroon Palace. He was right. Sunlight glinted off the palace's many maroon-colored domes. It was so bright that I had to look away. Every time I look at it, I'm reminded of my duty to this nation. So do I, Serge. Is the beating heart of the nation, after all. Well said, Mr. President. I got school. I'll take care. I'll see you around soon. I hope you've enjoyed the time here, Minecraft man. Take care of yourself. The car drove past the majestic gates and continued uphill to the entrance and stopped in front of the doors. Serge got out of the car and opened the door for me. Have a great day, Mr. President. Amogna Veskor. He referred to the famous Swedish phrase from the times of the Revolution, Amogna Veskor Vekten Sista, which meant morning will come, victory is close. Vekten Sista. I made my way upstairs through the extravagant corridors of the palace. Marble and engraved wooden finishes decorate the interior. My footsteps echoed through the colossal halls. The guards bowed their heads in respect as I opened the massive doors to my new office. Whew, okay. We've got a lot ahead of us. Okay. Let's take a look at what's different. We have won the 1953 Sordland election. A new chapter begins for Sordland. Notepad. I want to be making very good use of this. Codex. Everything seems about the same. We're going to be looking through the history as the game progresses so that we kind of understand what we need to do. The reformists, the oligarchs. We have a majority, but it's not a stable one. Bernard Circus, spokesman of the independents. This makes sense. Notable members. All right. Let's take a look at our reports. Where do we start? Actually, I'm going to read the logistic report. Let me see this. In a recent update from Holzord, the mayor expressed growing concerns about escalating traffic congestion linked to the city's burgeoning population and rapid urban expansion. A logistics report pinpointed the significant increase in traffic volume and subsequent slowing of transportation routes as the capital's most pressing issues. The mayor stressed that the lack of comprehensively designed large-scale land-based logistics hub, serving as a converging point for all transporters, is exacerbating the issues faced by domestic transporters. Given Holzard's status as a sprawling metropolis, the current situation where transporters have established separate centers across 10 different districts is scattered and inefficient. Okay. Okay, scattered logistics in Holzord. I'll make a little note of that. Wait. Okay. The General Staff convened right after the election to congratulate our victory. All branches of the Swedish Armed Forces were represented in the meeting that took place at Camp Strongarm with massive security measures. Chief of the Armed Forces, Valken Kruger, made a public press statement highlighting the increasing chances of military confrontation in eastern Mokopa and requested support to strengthen the military. Port of Lackhaven loses importance. The latest marine traffic reports show that the port of Lackhaven is no longer the busiest of the Mokopa continent, falling behind to the third position. While this is a negative indicator for our administration, Lackhaven still has the potential to shine again as a major trading center. Port of Lackhaven is the largest port in Sordland. It holds enormous importance for the economy, particularly as the main distribution center linking the capital and inner parts of Sordland to the rest of the world. Okay. The major port city will hopefully keep supporting a possible economic upturn if the entire country, if investment projects succeed. The report calls attention to the alarmingly low levels of productivity growth in Agland, where there are also high rates of food insecurity, malnutrition, and rural poverty in inner parts of the region. How big is Agland? Open city information. Codex. High levels of poverty, lack of healthcare. Lack of road network. The mayor of Arvory, Eric Neal, reports a lack of adequate infrastructure around Arvory, which seriously undermines the attractiveness of Arvory's investment client. Foreign investors, particularly from Magnolia, are becoming hesitant to invest in the city. Meanwhile, according to data published by the National Business Council, around 90% of a country's total expenditures in Agland is absorbed by logistics costs, while in peer regions this figure is below 10. Congratulations from Prime Minister Alvarez. Prime Minister Alvarez congratulated you for the results and spoke about his hopes to have a beneficial partnership deal in the future. He sent his best wishes to the Swedish people and warned us about the threats of the encroaching millennialist influence of United Contanda from the east, emphasizing the importance of unity on our continent, Mokopa. Congratulations, Chancellor Hegel. Chancellor Hegel sent his congratulations on your great victory and wished for close cooperation between our countries in the future. Hegel signaled concessions from Vaxland in case of a promising trade deal. He also congratulated the Swedish democracy for the successful elections and warned us about the threat of Arcadia's growing influence poses. Goodness. Sorry, I'm already losing my ability to speak. You'd think it'd be better. President Smollett sends his congratulations on the election victory and wished for a cooperative future between Velen and Sordland, signaling a desire to normalize the diplomatic situation between the two countries. Congratulations from Van Horten. Prime Minister Van Horten congratulated us on our election and praised our party's stance on just and transparent elections. He signaled his wishes to continue the trade partnership between our countries as equal partners, as opposed to earlier trade deals which he believes gave Sordland an unfair advantage. ATO advocates for global human rights amid tensions. In response to growing global tensions, the Arcasian Treaty Organization, an intergovernmental military and economic alliance of 14 countries, led primarily by Arcasia, has issued an expansive report examining the state of human rights worldwide. Amid intensifying nuclear developments and efforts to counteract the expanding influence of the Continental Security Pact, the ATO's commitment to championing human rights remains unwavering. The report meticulously identifies regions worldwide where human rights are most endangered, shedding light on areas of concern in multiple continents, including Eastern Maricopa, Western Rica, and Southern Montana. Proposed strategies that underline the need for actionable, collaborative efforts to address these crises, championing an international focus on basic human rights and freedom. As the specter of potential tensions and proxy wars loom, the report calls for nations to remember that the fight for universal respect for human dignity transcends political and ideological divisions. Okay. Okay. So, Aglan in desperate need. Okay. So, we'll keep that in mind. Yeah, Aglan does seem fairly desperate. As far as... Yeah. Okay. Keep that in mind. Alright. I want to know what the economic situation is, because that'll tell us how to deal with the political situation, I think. Like, either one can be influenced by the other, but I think I want a better idea of the economics of the situation and seeing how much money we're working with before I try to maneuver the political situation. We need to know what our resources are. That's kind of how I'm thinking about this. Simon Hole, Gus Manger, and Lilius Graff were about to arrive at the White Room for a scheduled economy meeting. This was the room in the Maroon Palace where all important meetings were held. Two assistants arrived first, carrying a heavy projector. They stood with it by the door, waiting for the ministers to enter. From the hallway I heard Lilius Graff's voice. She was using the patient, almost motherly tone she often took in heated arguments. Gus, do you really think that such an economically advanced area is in more need of investment than Agland? Lilius, my interior minister, strode in. She was clad in shades of brown and beige, and the only spot of color of a bright yellow Desnerus cross on her necklace. Gus followed soon behind. Don't be an idiot, Lilius. What about the unemployment crisis in Greater Holzord and Gelsland regions are going through? These areas are our economic heartland. Gus curled his hands into fists. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development's temper hadn't changed since his days of the Alfonso administration, but neither had his reputation for getting things done. His far-reaching network of connections was unlike any other. Simon Hole quickly stepped between the two ministers without looking at either of them. He cleared his throat. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I'm very well and motivated, Mr. Rayne. It seems our ministers are feeling the same. I can clearly see that. What was that discussion about? We were having a discussion about the infrastructure plans. If I may, I would like to talk to you about the... Simon interrupted. We will get there, Gus. No rush. First, I would like to conduct my economy presentation. Sure, let's begin. If he wants to get there, he's the economy minister. I'm fine with that. Let's begin. I'm looking forward to this. Simon pulled a silk handkerchief out of his pocket and briefly wiped his glasses. Mood. My staff and I have comprehensively analyzed every aspect of... He was interrupted by a groan from one of the assistants by the door, both of whom were now visibly struggling to hold up the projector. Oh, you can put that there. He pointed below the painting of President Tarkin. The assistants placed the projector next to the table and installed the white screen on the wall. Leave now. Thank you, and please leave now. The assistants left the cabinet room. I was reminded that Simon had never quite had a way with people, but his facility with numbers had made him the most sought-after economic specialist in Sordland. Simon started looking for his slides. He always carried documentation around with him. Wait. Lilius leaned to the table and spoke. Simon, what happened to the new police station construction in Estord? I want to pay attention to this. The city of Estord is the most oil-rich city of Sordland. It was founded in the 14th century as a silver mining town, but fortunes turned when the mines ran dry. The current situation is bleak. Blackouts are routine, public services are barely keeping up, and organized crime has taken hold, with gang wars bloodying the streets of the city. Okay, here. Excuse me, it makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, if Estord is dealing with a lot of ethnic tensions, that would also necessarily increase the gang rate on top of the reducing employment rate. So, formation of Source Petroleum makes a lot of sense. So there's a deep history of organized crime due to the poverty in the region. And there's a lot of, back and forth between Runeberg. Interesting. Simon, what happened to the new police station construction in Estord? While going through his briefcase, he paused for a moment to answer. It got stalled due to a government property boundary issue. I have been meaning to look at it. I can take a look at that one. Estord needs all the security help it can get. Sure, more time for me to spend on analyses. I'm gonna write that down. Butterfingers. Bro visited his friend. Hello. Hi, Evan. Okay. His eyes glittered when he finally found the slides he was looking for. There have been some developments about the Sordland losing further value today. We've been trying to stabilize it with the central bank. The recession of 51 put enormous pressure on the economy, resulting in the collapse of the value of our currency. The entire situation was significant cause for concern for our administration. God. What would you like to know about the current economic situation? What is our unemployment and inflation rate? Unemployment has skyrocketed and is now at a staggering 16%. So investments that will increase employment are very much something we need. And the inflation is at a relative high of 10%. Yeah, that's not great. Unemployment is increasing crime and drug use. We need to get people off the streets. The inflation isn't helping our average citizen either. Fair enough, yeah. What is our GDP and debt situation? Our current GDP is 310 billion Sordland, and the national debt is about 327 million. Okay, so we've got about 117 billion of a disparity. It's still hard to fathom that we lost 150 billion in wealth. The past 3 years were tough. What's the status of the recession? The economy has been in a recession of about negative 6% in the past years. The average GDP has dropped from 15,454 Sordland per capita to 10,359 Sordland from 1951 to now. The administration's success depends on our ability to stop the recession. The sooner we can reach GDP growth, the better. Yeah. I have all the information needed. Let's move on to the economic strategy. Simon scattered the paper stack in front of him in an orderly manner and took a final look at his notes before clearing his throat. As you can see, the situation is alarming, but not everything is negative. The extensive privatization program of Alfonso and key foreign direct investments left us a large budget surplus which we can use to stabilize the crisis. The primary subject we need to settle on is what general path we will take in our term. Solonomics based nationalization happened in the 30s, and Alfonso's privatization began during the end of the 40s. What will our administration focus on? One of our main promises was to promote a free market economy to stop the recession. To be frank, I believe it is the only way out of the recession. I still do not support it. Why promote the private sector when we have qualified state-owned enterprises? Because the lack of competition has made them inefficient. That's a 50-50. I mean, if they're stagnant and they're not being pushed to continue innovating by the government as part of the contract, then yeah, I can make them inefficient because there's nothing to, get them to work. Simon nodded. What are the downsides of the planned economy? It is clear that most of the state corporations and other government-controlled systems are less efficient. The government of Sordland and its institutions or corporations have a solid history of delivering. The structural problems of Solonomics were going to lead to a recession according to the predictions at the time anyway. Either way, even if we pick one of the doctrines, we retain the option to make economic choices on a case-by-case basis. That is, however, not recommended in my point of view. The last thing we need is a chaotic economic plan. Finally, something we can both agree on, Lilius. There's another important factor which has a direct impact on our economy: superpowers. We have done well not aligning ourselves with any one of them. Economically speaking, an isolationist policy overall could only work if we were to reach the benefits of both spheres and their rivalry. This is very dangerous to attempt, but still possible. We must be very cautious. There are schemes being devised about Sordland. We cannot give in to their wants, nor now nor in the future. Otherwise, our country will turn into a pawn. Sordland will not be controlled by any nations. Precisely my point. We will stand strong and show an example to the world. That I hope to. I hope we won't regret this. Lilith had a sip of water from her glass. When the time comes, I hope you will make the right decision, for our own good. We should attract more foreign direct investment, Mr. President. We saved the country from a full-on depression in 1952 and 53 by signing a lucrative trade deals with nations such as Riga, Lesbia, and Kina. Simon cleared his throat again. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Minister Vichy will be in charge of informing you on those types of foreign policy decisions. We must first decide on our internal economic plan. Simon put forward a legal document outlining the possibilities with both economic doctrines listed. The cabinet members looked at me. So, 5 options. We have Sol to thank for and his planned economy for the boom. It clearly shows the success of the system. I don't really think so. Let's finish what Alfonso started with the capitalist free market reforms. His path was going to enrich Sordland. Also not necessarily true. We don't want to go too far with it, otherwise we risk not providing the services we're supposed to provide as a government. What's on our long-term economic schedule? I would like to write this down immediately. Long-term econ schedule. Construction contractors. By the way, the point of this is to try and nail down what we're looking at so that we can make better decisions in the future. Trade. Oh my god, my microphone. Sorry. Okay, here. trade relations. Okay, construction contractors, trade relations, tax reform, private. Privatizing initiatives would be some of them. Sticking to a solid planned economy strategy will be the right call. The 5-year plans were fruitful in the past. Excuse me. Would a free market focus bring us stronger allies? It would make Arcasia look at our country in a more positive light. They are proponents of the free market economy. The influence Arcasia has on the world economy is extensive. Our economic strategy should be based on internal reasoning, though. Let's move on to the conclusion. What are your final thoughts, Mr. President? You already know what you're gonna do. What? Okay, I like this. Let's look at this. Critical institutions must remain in state control. We must be fully responsible for delivering services. I like that. We should look at opportunities like privatization to create financial resources. Also true, but like, a market economy doesn't require as much guidance, and it could help us attract foreign capital. That's true. I do think this. Critical institutions must remain in state control. We must be fully responsible for delivering services. A market economy doesn't mean privatization of every single institution, but either way, you make the choices. So, what will our general economic plan promote? Promote a free market economy, as we promised. I can't say that I agree with this. Lilius looked displeased. Now that there is clarity on which direction we are heading, I will work on a good plan accordingly. This concludes our meeting. At our next gathering, we will talk about the upcoming infrastructure investment plan. Next meeting. Econ. Infra. Now that the economic direction was decided, the ministers dispersed for lunch at the Maroon Palace. Okay. Policies updated. Promote market economy. All right. Yikes. We are in a bad spot. Oh, shoot. I forgot to read the news. That's something I want to do as well. Oh, can we? Oh, cool. This wasn't in it the last time I look. President Anton Rayne has been sworn into duty in a great ceremony in Holzord. Thousands have attended the ceremony where President Rayne has met his supporters for the first time after his election. In his inauguration, Rayne spoke about change and hope, bringing focus on reforms. Together, we will bring prosperity and reform to our nation. It is a time of hope. It is a time of change, said the new president before he went on to start his first day in the Maroon Palace. Campaign bill. Fair representation in the Assembly. The long-stalled campaign bill has once again taken center stage in the Grand National Assembly. The bill first proposed during the Alfonso presidency has been put on hold due to the 1953 election, but has now been resurrected under President Anton Rayne. So the bill is going to be proportional representation, basically. The taxes based on the popularity of a party, which is good, honestly. I think that's a good thing. Sorry, I would like to read more, but I am gonna slow down from that and just try to sum up my thoughts. Oh, what's this? Oh, interesting. I'll look at that in a second. Ribbery? Okay, so Gelsland and Grunny, right? Okay. Noted. Ah, this was sponsored. Yeah, Alfonso's company. Could the promotion of free market economy? 37% of the general vote. Okay. Generally good support for now. We'll see. Yeah, The Economist wants us to end Solonomics, of course. Freezing temperatures in southern Bergia. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. So we have 37%. People's Freedom have 20%. 11% for the Nationalists. The Communists and the Workers' Party of Lydia both got below 10. Okay. Okay. And the Radical. Interesting. Beaten with baseball bats in a paramilitary attack. Right-wing extremism. That doesn't surprise me. Okay. Let's take a quick look at the reports. Paused oil. Okay. Booming wine demand. Okay. Okay. Unemployment in Morna. The recession led to a reduction in rail assets. Fifth of the rail's network being antiquated. So we have something to work on here. Like some infrastructure to get a start on. Okay, so that tourism thing seems like a really, really good idea. As well as in boosting the infrastructure to take in that tourism. Noted. Oh, okay, promising agricultural growth. Okay. All right. Now for the political meeting. Wait, nope. Where is this? Okay. And yeah, region. Congratulations. Let's look at this. Oh. Oh, interesting. Yikes. Okay, I think the announcement of the free market policy will help that a little bit. Just a bit. Peter Vectorn arrived a couple minutes early and sat across from me. He was struggling to hold back his smile. We did it, Anton. We won! Finally! All those years with our nose to the grindstones paid off. Peter's eyes sparkled. The strain of the past months had put a damper on his usual rakish charm, but today he was looking and acting more like his old self. He loosened his tie and undid the top 2 buttons of his shirt. Enjoying the new secretary I picked out for you? Thought you'd appreciate her gorgeous set of talents. It's a shame the rest of your staff aren't as easy on the eyes. He gestured to the slight paunch that protruded over his waistband. But hey, back in university, did you ever imagine we'd be seeing here, the Maroon Palace? We have to celebrate this great victory. We'll celebrate at the inaugural ball. Just hang in there until the evening. Looking forward to it. Evelyn hopes to congratulate in person there. I'm sure the kids would love to see their Uncle Peter for the first time as the vice president. That's great to hear. It's crazy how fast the two have grown up. You're a good father. Peter had a wistful look in his eyes. He and Evelyn had never been able to have kids of their own. During our campaign, the opposition had floated the rumor that he'd fathered illegitimate children during his wilder years, but it had never been substantiated. The doors swung open and Lucian Galad, my chief strategist, walked in. He was a compact man with sharp bird-like features. After briefly surveying the room from wall to wall, he sat down, poured a glass of water, and opened his briefcase in a series of quick, graceful movements. Gentlemen. The tall case clocked in the room struck 3 o'clock. Damn, you're exactly on time. Hello, Peter. Lucian then turned towards me. He very slightly bowed his head. Lucian, how are you? I'm ready and able, sir. Lucian spoke in soft, clipped tones that immediately drew your attention towards what he had to say. Peter and I waited for him to proceed. Let's start by evaluating our current situation. The majority of the Swedish people demand change. They are more concerned about the economy than the Constitution, but they blame the system for their problems. People are losing their trust in our democracy. Why do you think radicals like Bernard Circus are becoming more and more popular? Everyone's expecting us to bring the change the last government did not. Franz Richter, leader of the Reformists, believes that true change can only be accomplished by transferring some of our powers to the Assembly. I'll move into the details of their demands shortly. I agree with the Reformists. Our responsibility is to democratize a broken system. That's exactly what we campaign for. A true change that will move the country forward. We will need many allies against the old guard in the government. Mr. Richter managed to persuade many members of Assembly to give their support for drafting a new constitution. Reformist politicians are increasing in number. While the reformist wing inside our party is still a minority, they could have a tripartisan majority in the Assembly, especially if they unite under Franz Richter. Mr. Richter could be a potential ally in our goal to maintain a majority in the Assembly. He's definitely key in this. The reformist demands are clear. They want to limit the president's veto powers, ensure the Supreme Court is independent, and take away the court's right to vote on constitutional amendments. Wait, which reformist? The Richter's party, or? Limit the president's veto powers. Okay. Limit vetoes. Supreme Court independence. No. SC amendments. Okay. I support the reformists. We need a proper balance of power in this country. I agree. We can't ignore the winds of change, after all. The old guard would do its best to preserve the Constitution. Chief Justice Harcourt and his allied judges have a great influence over the Supreme Court, which will be tough to break. The court also has the final say over constitutional legislation. Without their approval, we cannot even change it. We need a comprehensive bill to balance the power structure more fairly. I agree. The old guard won't like this, though. A comprehensive reform would make the reformists happy would mean maintaining a balance between all branches of government, which means removing the absolute veto as well. The reformists demand that all loopholes in the Constitution are closed. Looks like we have many challenges ahead. We can figure it out. Our party still holds 130 out of 250 seats in the Assembly. We've got the power. However, to reform the Constitution, we must receive a 2/3 majority in the Grand National Assembly, which is 166 votes, and a simple majority in the Supreme Court. That equates to 6 votes. After we have settled on how to proceed, we will need to talk with our party figures. Our first goal must be to get the 150 signatures we needed to start the process. Following the green light from the USP, we will reach out to the other party leaders to see if they would back our draft. The last step is to convince the justices of the court. Wait, let me actually put that all down. Reform plan. Okay. Talk with USP. Talk with opposition. Convince. I actually don't think this is as relevant to write down, but reach out to the other party leaders. The new constitution should give the president wide-ranging powers to lead Sordland into the future. Or we could work with the old guard to protect our existing extensive powers. Obviously, I want to reform the constitution, so we will write a more democratic constitution with the reformists. That's what we've been preparing for internally. Don't forget the promise is what got us elected. The key here will be strengthening the power of the assembly, which we already lead with a majority. Peter nodded in agreement. Yes, the divisions of power need to be rebalanced for a better Sordland. According to the initial draft we made with the reformists, there are 2 changes to the constitution that are not open to their discussion. First, the Supreme Court will no longer vote on constitutional amendments. Oops. Okay. There it is. Thank you. No longer vote on constitutional amendments. And this one too. Second, the president's absolute veto will be taken away. This can be replaced with a limited veto system by fixing the current loopholes. I have no problem with these clauses. Let's work with the reformists. Yes, sir. Lucian nodded. We will form a reform committee together with all parties and start reaching out to all the stakeholders in the assembly and the court for a new constitution. By later in the year, we should have an idea of the reform contents and what the other parties want. Lucian took notes. Another important point. We must be aware of the Lotharbrook group. The oligarchs convene under this organization to influence economic policies. Conrad Caronti led it for a long time before falling ill. The new leader is Mr. Walter Tusk. According to reports, some members of the National Business Council are in their pockets. I want to know who they are. The National Business Council is the official government structure that includes most of the leading business leaders of Sordland. They are participating in a cooperation with the government on improving the economic prospects. Many details including state projects, incentives, taxes, unemployment, and the future of the country are discussed here. Led by Mikhail Avin, representing the private sector, and Simon Hole representing the state. Tusk and the group will surely try to bribe us in exchange for special economic protections. I will enter a dialogue with them eventually. We need to be diplomatic. Wise approach. It's good to understand and see if we can reach a middle ground. Lucian looked at Peter. As far as I know, Conrad's son Marcel has strong ties to this group. His influence would definitely be an asset for us, but I'm sure he'll want something in return. They can definitely move a lot of fingers without us. That's... That group is dependent on our economic policies. They can't move a finger without us. I don't like the way this is worded, but I want to get a reaction here. I wouldn't be so optimistic. The capital they represent could do a lot of damage if it was diverted. Okay, yeah. We need to tread carefully on all sides with all power players to survive our term. I need to underline the seriousness of the situation. The military and the general staff are a powerful element in the state, and as history tells us, a dangerous one too. We do have some room to make structural changes, by reducing their budget, for example, but it is quite limited. I want to receive the advice of the military before making up my mind. It is sound to listen to them, but they have very biased and narrow opinions. Nationalism clouds their minds. General Kruger is a specter of the past. Defense Minister Josef Lancia is more loyal to us compared to General Kruger, a fact that can obviously change with our actions. Either way, I see a potential rift between the two, since they are clearly of different minds. Rivalry between Kruger and Lancia, Kruger, so if he has nationalist leanings, we can probably back Josef more in that sense. If we act strongly against the military, both of those will unite against us. I agree with Lucian. We need to tread carefully here. Lucian looked at his watch. Well then, gentlemen, precisely 30 minutes. This concludes our political briefing for today. Our next meeting will be about our media strategy. Talk to you soon, sir. I will keep in touch. See you both at the next meeting. Lucian and Peter bid their farewells and left. A mysterious amount of smoke was rising far away on the horizon. Uh-oh. Our formal committee has been convened. Good. Nature Preservation March. Significant participation. GNA prepares Tourism Act. Good, good. Increasing homelessness in Berkshire. The Polish minority of the region is now account for 47% of homeless. That makes sense. That's unfortunate. 72% is staggering. Police report, HSU fired. Jeez, that's shit. Destruction of employee records. And recognize academic research. "55% of the population supports reformists." It's not a bad thing. We can take advantage of that. The Source Grid Corporation's fields research. New gas fields. Okay, good to know. Tori said USP wants to appeal to the people of Sordland to help in maintaining stability and order for the state. Ah, interesting. Campaign finance bill. Oh, Clavin is backing this. He's the reformist leader, isn't he? Calling for constitutional reforms. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, he's the reformist and he's supporting this. Oh, wait, interesting. Ah, they're smearing him. Okay. Ooh. Wait, this is interesting. Reassessment of source history. Huh. That could be helpful for the education path if we expose more of those. We're coming south. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, this is so bad. Jesus. Yeah, let's 5 changes. Let's see. Yeah, not looking good. Meeting on the media strategy. All right, let's do this. Recent developments in the media strategy. I've just received further information of the interior about the sudden fire that broke out at Holzer State University archives nearby. Public Research University, okay. Second oldest institution after the Marquian Imperial University. Oh! Oh, Edmonds graduated from it as well, for law. That means we have that in common. That's nice. Tell me more. The initial reports from the Holzer police chief indicate a potential arson case in accordance with protocol. The Source Intelligence Directorate has been called. Is SID really necessary for this? Why would anyone hit the archives of a university in the first place? I see no logical motive here. It seems like the chief suspects foreign sabotage. They informed us that a large section of the archive has been destroyed. It included tens of thousands of globally recognized research documents and original by the great thinkers of our people. Back to Peter's point, if this was arson, what could the motive have been? The fact that the employee records have been destroyed, along with the research documents, raises further questions. Luckily, most originals have copies in the other universities and some international libraries. The first edition of my favorite book, Geopolitics of Sordland by Herman Eckwa, was destroyed too. I want to read this. I want to know why he cares about it, you know? Post-revolution synthesis. Maybe it's just a freak accident. We do have the copies of the most important works, so no single fire can eradicate our knowledge. I see no point in destroying employee records either. More importantly, Lucian mentioned that Marcel Caronti contacted him. The Carontis had always been known as one of the richest and most influential families in Sordland. Marcel Caronti was no exception. He was the oldest son of Cronlath Caronti, the industrialist and media mogul who founded HOS, the richest man in the entirety of Sordland. Excuse me. Tens of billions is the big four. Lucian turned to me. He offered to meet with you, Mr. President. Why should I meet with him? After the passing of his father, may he rest in peace, Marcel aims to be the next CEO of the HOS conglomerate. He mentioned a productive collaboration. They're a powerful and influential media conglomerate. To start with, they own Sordland Today, the Sordland Today newspaper, the Source Broadcasting Corporation, which means it would be wise to have them by our side. Sorry for interrupting. What does this productive collaboration entail? He did not wish to explain the details over the phone, but rather in person. I believe I will be receiving a call from him sometime soon. However, as Peter said, they have substantial power over the content of media outlets, headlines, radio shows. That is what he would be offering. What he wants in return is what we need to understand. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to determine our general approach to media. Okay, good. I'm no media expert, but Lucian made some very interesting arguments at the preparation meeting yesterday. There are two ways we can approach the media. One of them is by influencing it, which has clear advantages. The other one is keeping it independent. That's interesting. As far as democratic values go, I do think the media should be independent. But what do we mean by influencing it? Do we just mean like talking to reporters, giving information, that sort of stuff? Or do we mean like trying to push it politically? I mean, just as a moral statement, the media must be independent. Ideally, yes, but an unpopular leader will not be able to pass even the easiest reforms. It is of the utmost importance to maintain a public popularity and avoid damaging scandals or mistakes. I must stress one thing, Mr. President. The more people we have supporting our agenda, the more we can accomplish. With someone on our side in an influential media organization, you can do this very easily. I see what you were getting at. I agree with Lucian, but why the assumption that there will be scandals and mistakes? We can always hope for the best, but do we really think that nothing can go wrong, especially considering the very recent history of Sordland? 2 knocks were heard on the door. Who is it? It's Livia, Mr. President. Livia Suno, my new secretary, entered the office. Her dark curls bounced as she crossed the room to my desk. She spoke with a slight lilt in her voice. Excuse me, Mr. President. Mr. Galad's secretary has been calling me and wanted me to relay a message. Marcel Caronti, the new CEO for HOS Conglomerate, is on the line, Mr. Galad. Well, the ball's in our court now. Would you like to talk to him, sir, or would you like me to? I'll talk to him. Connect the line to my office. Right away, sir. Connecting the call to line 1. Livia left the room and the phone started ringing. I picked it up. It's a pleasure, Mr. Caronti. The pleasure is all mine. I know your time is valuable, so I will not waste any of it. I was just elected CEO of HOS. My strategy in the running of this conglomerate will be different from my father's approach. This is why I'm offering a partnership deal regarding our media branch. I would like to formally invite you to my resort near Conrad for a meeting to discuss the details. Thank you for the offer. I would be interested in a meeting. You will not be disappointed, I promise. Well then, I will let you return to your packed schedule. See you later, Mr. President. See you later, Mr. Kronti. I hung up the phone. I'll set things up right away. Expect a worthwhile meeting in the next month. It's settled then. Looking forward to next month. I wonder if he has a pool. Lucian looked at his watch. It appears we're done for today. We will continue where we left off later. Thank you for your time. Good work with Marcel. Keep it up. Lucian and Peter nodded before gathering their documents and leaving my office. We were already getting the attention of key figures, and potentially dangerous ones. Okay. Fluctuating energy prices. Okay, let's see the news. Conrad Kronti passed away. Hermann Eckwa stepped forward regarding the status of many famous academic papers. Our great quests of knowledge should have been protected better. What will be the regional international trade policy? Historic Agnolia and Velen have been natural trading partners, depending on the direction of the Rayne administration. We think it is likely that a new trade deal will be brokered with at least one of these partners in the near term. All in all, regardless of which trading partners the administration decides to go with, one thing is sure. Regional trade will boost the ailing economy. The real question is, what does Vagsland or Lesbia think of Sordland? Declining energy output at Valgan Dam. So we do have an energy problem. Plans for refurbishment or modernization of the dam could be proposed in the future. That's not bad. More tourism potential. Good thing. Any potential change to the Constitution in the direction of reformists will likely result in strong opposition from the National Front. Okay. In support of such direction seem to be in great numbers. While most members of the United Sordland Party seem reluctant about supporting such changes, SID joins investigation. Kairut expresses approval of Sordish democracy. Nice. Oops. Ah. Damn it. Damn it. Ah. Didn't mean to open that. Oh, come on. That's irritating. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to reset this. Prayers to Saint Dast. Okay, great, we're back. Yeah, we already looked through these. We already checked the news, regional trade, and all that. Okay, like Evan. Ooh, invest in mega infrastructure. Or the campaign finance bill. Ooh, let's sign this first. Section 1 of this bill stipulates a significant change in the methodology of public funds allocations to political parties. The new measure replaces the previous system based on the number of votes won in the general elections with a system reliant on the proportion of seats secured by a political party in the assembly. 500,000 for each member. Substantial increase in election budgets. Section 4 highlights an important consequence of this reallocation. Parties that do not meet the 10% election threshold will see their public funding effectively curtailed. This measure ensures that public resources are concentrated towards parties with significant representation in the assembly. I think it's pretty bad. Yeah, as far as, okay, morally, it's pretty simple. As far as democracies go, this is pretty terrible. Like, if it's originally to the percentage of popular vote that they get, and that's based on, the funding that they get, I think that's way more proportional. I think it's way more representative. I much prefer that. I think it's better. The only other thing is who's supporting this bill. And frankly, I think it's our party supporting this bill because we get the hugest response from it. And for those reasons, I mean, obviously I want to strengthen the party because that strengthens my position, but quite simply, this is just an anti-democratic bill that I don't want to support. Thankfully, the upside from vetoing this will be increased support among the bullish population, a bit of support from the left wing, which is like, you know, the Communist Party of Sordland, and I'm assuming a lot of support from the People's Freedom and Justice Party, which we want to develop a relationship with. So I think I just have to strike this down. President vetoes bill. The campaign finance bill has been vetoed by President Rayne after its approval from the Grand National Assembly by majority vote on Friday following a 3-hour debate. Franz Richter, who also objected to the funding package, saying it contained too much unfairness in the allocation of the budget, also sought to delay proceedings demanding a formal recorded vote, but was overruled. The bill passed the Assembly, but failed to become law by President Rayne's decision. Interesting that they didn't want a formal recorded vote. Unfair finance bill crushed. Rayne deserves credit for crushing the undemocratic proposal, even though it came from his own party and would have benefited himself. Okay. And this. Oh, it's only one government budget. That's great. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to do this. Invest in mega infrastructure. The Ministry of Economy has put forward 2 bold plans for mega infrastructure projects that would help with the economic recession in the long term. Investing in projects of this scale would take up some proportion of the national budget, but could prove worthwhile if accomplished successfully. Yeah, we're doing this. And here it is. Discussion of potential infrastructure projects. Okay, this will be very, very interesting, I think. The view towards the Marquian Sea from Lac-Avin was nothing short of exquisite. The seaside state residence fittingly named the Blue Mansion was large, fine, and accommodating. But enjoying the luxurious mansion wasn't the main reason of our visit. We gathered the economic team here to discuss our new infrastructure project. Half an hour had already passed since the start of the meeting. Unfortunately, I did not even have the chance to have my usual afternoon coffee. Looking at the view from the windows, I let my mind drift for a couple of seconds. Simon's voice brought me back into the ongoing discussion. Mr. President, we need to focus on boosting the economy as quickly as possible. One of the fastest ways to achieve this is through infrastructure projects. What can we focus on? On the one hand, businessmen are complaining about the slow logistical rail network between Sordland and Lac-Avin. Lily started talking as soon as Simon took a breath. On the other hand, citizens are criticizing the lack of a proper highway connection between Lackhaven and Arvory. Correct me if I'm wrong. I remember Lilius being connected to Arvory in some way. Wasn't she like the mayor or something? Lilius graph. Yes, elected official in the Arvory City Council. Tenure as public advocate saw reformation of various housing, finance, and security policies. Mayor of Arvory. Pick her to replace mayor as mayor of Horlsord. Interesting. As an expert on urban development and police relations. As one of the most influential supporters of Anton Rayne's candidacy, she inarguably brought with her a large conservative support in the elections. Huh, okay. Narrow roads by the seaside are not only dangerous, but difficult to traverse. We need to pick the most profitable option for economic growth, because we're in trouble. We're in deep trouble. We need to fix the economy. I'm not really interested inherently in the calls of the businesses, but we need to pick the most profitable option for economic growth, which is obviously connecting our two most economically powerful cities. It's not business folk who are suffering now, but ordinary folk. What really matters is that your first economic act accomplishes something tangible. We must improve the economy of the nation and bring it out of the recession. To that point, I defined two important projects for your attention, the H3 Highway Project and the L1 High-Speed Railway Project. Mr. Hall repositioned himself on his chair. The Ministry can only support one project at a time with our current capacity and budget. Let's move on to the details of each. Which would you like to hear about first? The H3 Highway Project. The H3 Highway Project aims to improve the abysmal state of the road network in the Agland region bordering Agnolia. The area is home to several million Agno-Sordage and Sordish citizens who currently feel neglected. There are no proper highway connections to and from Agland. The mayor of Arvory, Eric Neal, has been asking for a bigger budget to develop the regional infrastructure. He told us that even trucks are having a bad time traveling through the main roads. The increased traffic is causing trouble for people commuting in and out of the region. That must be cumbersome for the citizens. It is, bless their souls. I'm happy we're thinking alike on the matter. Let's take a more detailed look at the upgrade proposal. Lilius was pointed at Lackhaven. The H3 highway route starts here in Lackhaven. And from there it leads to Lenkirk. And from there it goes all the way to Arvory. As a result, the road network towards the Agnolian capital, Stalport, will also improve substantially. She paused and leaned forward in her chair. I want to take a look at that a bit more closely. Stalport's here, so the highway would probably run through here, but that would have to be on his part, not ours. Logistical issues, 1.3 million, 0.6 million, and Lackhaven, 3.3 million. It doesn't directly help Lauren, though. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. As a mayor, I saw the central government continuously neglect our country's Agno-Sordage-dominated regions. Is this administration going to continue that kind of negligence? Our Agno-Sordage citizens should be respected as swords like all of us. Yes, there should be no preference or separation among Sordage citizens, meaning we should think about what's best for the country overall. It has to be pointed out that the highway would be less beneficial in the short term. Less beneficial in the short term. Okay. I have to disagree. It'll increase the speed of transportation throughout the region. Our citizens will be quite pleased if we successfully accomplish this. Besides, if we enter trade talks with Magnolia, they will see the investment as a positive sign. That is true. Very interesting, but I still want to hear about the railway project. Your predecessor Alfonso failed to deliver us on this campaign promise, but now we have the opportunity to start the construction of a groundbreaking railway project. As you know, our current trains cannot meet the standards of today. As many other countries adopt new electric engine technology to power their trains, we're falling behind. News about the new electric trains in United Contana has piqued our business's interest. They too want to transport resources and materials from Holzor to Lake Haven with great speed and efficiency. Whew. The major cities of Sordland need more infrastructure to support their growing populations. This should be our priority, growth and development optimization. Our plan is to upgrade the old L1 line from Holzor to Lake Haven. It will transform into a high-speed railway. Gus was pointing at Holzor where Simon was looking attentively. The planned construction starts right here at the capital. From there, it'll go to Anrika first, then connect to Gelsord. After it'll reach Lake Haven, our economic powerhouse. He leaned forward. Let me see. Alright, Holzord. Logistical issues. Yes, he mentioned how it's all disparate and not really connected together. So that could be valuable. 5.2 million. Okay, so Holzord alone has significantly more people than the other regions. Noted. Then it goes to Anrika. What are they dealing with? Antiquated railway. The railway network dates back to the middle of last century and needs improvements. Increased danger and lack of rail assets. 1.6 million. Ooh, wait. Look at the GDP is also interesting. Hang on. 52 billion SR. Yeah, that's pretty significant. 7 billion. So we're up to about 60 or so. 18 million. Okay. And Lake Haven, 83 billion. Wow, okay. Compared to 2 billion, 5 billion, plus likely good stuff coming from Magnolia. So it is a significant and valuable region, but I don't necessarily know that it's what we want to focus on. This is huge, though, linking these cities up. That's a very big deal. Wait, yeah, Gelsord. Yeah, they also have an antiquated railway problem. Also, they have a PFJP mayor. That's notable, I think. Wait, it does go through the Gelsord, right? Yeah, Gelsord, Lake Haven, and Anrika. Okay. The L1 will significantly boost the economies of the newly linked cities and even the rural areas in between. Lake Haven is our primary port, so the goods unloaded there will be transported to Holzor much faster. That's valuable, too. Like... Oh, that's... Wait. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Oh. That's interesting. Yeah, those areas all have, decent tourist... Oh, Vezord has a communist mayor. Interesting. Same with Boron. National Front in, Laren, Benfey. Tourism destination. Very interesting, actually. That's very interesting. Yeah, so Earlery, oopsie. What about, Sana? No. Yeah, that's a direct value to both Rivery and Earlery as well. And the other areas up top aren't tourist destinations as far as I'm understanding. No, they just have infrastructure issues, which, yeah, fair enough. I do sympathize. Estord? Organized crime, police are burdened. Okay. Okay. Yes, we should link these rural areas in the middle with the major cities of Sordland. I think that is extremely valuable. We are talking about the wealthiest regions and forgetting about Agma, which needs the investments more. The mayor of Anrika, Curtin Lest, also requested this project be prioritized. That could help. I mean, I don't like this guy at all, but... yeah. That could be a valuable political ally. Businessmen in the region will be very content, which in turn will increase investments and employment. That is a huge deal. Therefore, I will recommend the L1 high-speed railway project. Yeah, unemployment is in, like, the shitter right now. We need to fix it. That'll be the way to boost the economy back up. I've settled on a decision. Excellent. What will be your final choice, Mr. President? Yeah, I think the L1 highway or railway is just way too valuable to pass up on. It's modernizing our current infrastructure, which is extremely valuable. Going towards an electricity-focused model is just extremely valuable and way more efficient. It's connecting critical regions together. It's connecting our most infrastructurally... it's connecting two areas that need their infrastructure improved, and it's connecting a lot of people, many of which are in tourist destinations. So if we get that online, that could be a huge... boon for us economically in the long term, especially if we go for an immigration or a tourism-focused strategy. There's way too many benefits for the L1 high-speed railway to pass up on. And of course, trade with Stockport would be great, but it's not as valuable as this. We can still trade with Magnolia. There's nothing stopping us, but like we need to focus on these regions, I think, before the population crisis becomes too overburdening. We need the infrastructure to support it. I have decided on the L1 high-speed rail project to improve the connections between our most productive cities. The right choice, Mr. President. The negotiations will begin in the middle of this year. You will be able to award the contract to a corporation of your choice. The ministry estimates that construction will be complete in 2 years if every step going forward is executed successfully. Thank you all for your contributions and thoughts. Have a good day. See you soon, Mr. Rayne. Have a nice day, Mr. President. Evening sail on the beautiful coastline of Blackhaven. Alright, we're under construction. Yeah, I think this is a good choice. I'm feeling pretty good about it. And it'll help us a lot with these other areas. Like there's a lot of highway connections here to Ribery as well. Well, not highway connections, but Gelzord is also a very strong area. This is just kind of extremely valuable and long-term support for our country. A personal investment opportunity has been relayed by Mr. Manger. An experienced stockbroker in Ventry City, Arcadia, is selling valuable shares of Armadine Industries, an up-and-coming electronics manufacturing company. We could invest or let the opportunity pass. I feel putting in the investment is really good here. Electronics manufacturing is kind of the strategy we're going with. I know this is a personal investment, not a national investment, but just having that, connection I think is really valuable. So putting in more money up front is also really valuable. Also the extra wealth allows us to maneuver future situations a lot more effectively. And if we invest more, we'll have, potentially this company does better and we'll return the investment or invest in Sordland in the future. I think this is worth it. I'm gonna take the risk here and buy 2,000 shares. Ugh, let's hope that pans out. Okay. Reception at the inaugural ball. Oh, wait, let's take a look at this. So we're a little bit better. Slight uptick, not a bad thing. But we have to let that, the project has to finish. That's the thing. I had just finished buttoning up my suit jacket when the doorbell rang. The Presidential Guard had arrived to pick us up for the inaugural ball. The ball was a 3-decade-old tradition, breathlessly anticipated by politicians, bureaucrats, and the press. All eyes were about to be on me. I called on Monica to get the children ready. Looking in the mirror, I straightened my tie and took a deep breath. After tonight, there was no turning back. Suddenly, Deanna hugged me from behind, startling me a little. Monica had fixed her hair into an elaborate braid, woven through with ribbons. Papa, Mama told me it's time to go. Hello, darling, I am ready. Where's your brother? I think Frank is still upstairs. She shrugged. It was almost time to leave. The big ball was starting in less than an hour. Now where's my first lady? Monica came down the stairs. She was wearing a simple yet elegant beige sheath dress and short heels. Her hair had been neatly pinned into a chignon, showing off the pearl earrings I had gifted her for our 15th anniversary. All those years she had stayed by my side. Now we were about to begin the most challenging chapter in our lives yet. How do you do, Mr. President? Embrace her. I pulled her into a deep embrace. Monica, my love, you look as gorgeous as the day we married. Now there's that charm that got you elected. Frank trudged down the stairs. This thing itches. Frank tugged at the collar of his new tuxedo. He seemed ill at ease. I'm glad to have you with us for this big night. Sure, Dad. I'm just dying to go. Papa, are these people going to be around us from now on? She pointed at the Presidential Guards at the door of the house. Yes, Sordland's most important family needs extra protection. It's alright, baby. They're here to make sure nothing bad happens to your papa, or his family. Monica and Deanna held Deanna's hand. Together, flanked by the guards, we walked out the door. Halfway to the car, Frank stopped abruptly and turned towards me. Dad, do I really have to go? Couldn't I stay home instead? I'm nervous myself, Frank, but I'd feel a lot more confident with my son by my side. Frank smiled reluctantly. Oh, when you put it like that. Sure, let's go. The Presidential Guard showed us the way as the red and blue lights flashed around us. Serge, my driver, ushered us into our armored limousine. The motorcade started moving towards the palace. I gazed out the window, deep in thought. Anton, what are you thinking about? I was thinking that we've come a long way together, haven't we? Yes, we have. And there's still so much we'll accomplish, side by side. Just remember, no matter what happens, the children and I will always be here for you. I'm going to help Papa fix everything. Frank rolled his eyes. I know you will, honey. This means a great deal to me. After what seemed like just a few minutes, the convoy slowed to a halt. Serge rode down the limousine's soundproof partition. We are here, sir. I hope you enjoyed the drive. Much appreciated. How are you today, Serge? I'm just as good as I can be, but today is your day, sir. I'm glad you are in charge now. You know, my entire family voted for you. Thank you and your family. I'm here with all of your support. No reason to thank me, sir. You were the one who sparked a glimmer of hope in us all. Serge opened the door for me. The normally imposing palace was festooned with garnished banners that nearly made it look cheerful. A line of shiny luxury sedans stretched around it. Politicians, bureaucrats, and celebrities, the creme de la creme of the Sordland elite, streamed inside the building. Good luck out there, Mr. President. I'll see you on the trip home. I stepped out and immediately found myself surrounded by loud voices and camera flashes. Hordes of eager journalists thrust their portable microphones my way. My guards fended off most of them, but one woman managed to dodge them and corner me. I recognized the Swordfish Broadcasting Company logo on her press lanyard. Mr. President, do you plan on working together with the opposition parties on the expected constitutional reforms? Do you plan on working together with the opposition parties on the expected constitutional? I'm going to extend a hand here. If the opposition is willing to support us. Mr. Richter clarified as long as you hold your promises of democratization, they will support you on these issues to the end. What do you think about the statement? I welcome it. This is a challenge for us all. One more question. One of your first acts as president was to veto a campaign finance law that would have deprived small parties of public funds while increasing those channeled to your own. Are we seeing the beginning of a more egalitarian administration? Absolutely. Whether the bill is proposed by my own party or not, I will use my veto on it if it goes against the interest of our democracy. It's not 1, not 4. Absolutely. I think I want to be affirmative here. I know it goes against my party who wanted the bill, but I need to make a strong stance on supporting democracy. If it's consistent, you know, I believe it, it's consistent, people are going to trust us more. I'm just going to... And she's asking, are we seeing the beginning of a more egalitarian administration? I'm going to say absolutely. I want to say absolutely. Absolutely. Where the bill is proposed by my own party or not, I would use my veto on it if it goes against the interest of our democracy. That's enough, man, one of my guards said while nudging the reporter away from me. A path through the crowd was now open, and we quickly made our way to the entrance of the palace. At the same time, a dozen fireworks went off. The entrance was decorated with beautiful ribbons in Sordland's colors of white, yellow, and maroon. A lush maroon carpet had been rolled down the stairs. We entered the lobby and joined the throngs of people making their ways toward the ballroom. As I navigated through the crowd, a familiar figure stepped into my path. It was Bernard Circus, the acclaimed poet and now MP. His face bore a look of subtle defiance. Excuse me. Congratulations, President Rayne. A remarkable achievement indeed. I appreciate your congratulations, but from one former Red Youth to another, we both know our work has just begun. That's right, President Rayne. Once a Red Youth, always a Red Youth. I can't help but wonder how the winds of change will blow in our Sordland now that you've taken the helm. Perhaps now is the time of our long-nurtured dream of revolution will finally become a reality. Revolution, Mr. Circus. Let's hope it's a peaceful one, for the sake of both Sordland and its new president. You mustn't forget, to ride towards the sun is to invite flame, yet only through a fiery peril can true glory be found. The light of it binds us all. That is the weight of your new role. I've taken up enough of your time, President Rayne. This is your night, after all. Your friends, family, and country await. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, Mr. Circus. Enjoy your evening. Until we meet again. As I watched Bernard Circus blend back into the crowd, his words echoed in my mind. Were they merely poetic expressions, or a reflection of the real socialist sentiments stirring within the country? Behind me, I heard a familiar voice. There they are, the most beautiful family in Sordland. Uncle Peter! Hi, Uncle Peter. It's great to see you. You two are growing faster than I'm getting wiser. Are you sure you've gotten any wiser, Peter? Maybe not. After all, I'm sticking with you. Happy to see a familiar face, Peter. Evelyn! Peter's wife Evelyn approached us and shook our hands with a firmness that belied her delicate features. Congratulations, Anton. I have to say, the results were clear to me from the beginning. Appreciate it, Evelyn. It means a lot. The pleasure is mine. I think it's time to celebrate this victory. I hope you'll show the same enthusiasm on the job. Of course I will. You know me. I work as hard as I play. He gave a short smile that looked halfway genuine. He seemed uncomfortable. Monica, how are you? You've barely said a word. I'm more than relieved to have this roller coaster ride over with, but of course, now the real work begins. Ah yes, managing the help, planning parties, daily trips to the salon to look your best for foreign dignitaries. Don't be so old-fashioned, Evelyn. I plan to use my power as First Lady to advance the position of women throughout Sordland. Equal rights for our sex are long overdue. Wouldn't you say, Anton? Absolutely, and we'll work together to achieve that. Monica flashed me a smile. Diana suddenly jumped in between us and tugged on my sleeve. Papa, can we go? I want to see the ballroom. Of course, darling. Let's not delay any longer. Moved to the ballroom. We left the lobby and made our way towards the ballroom. Inside, we were yet again surrounded by a noisy crowd, but this time, it was the politicians who sought to appease the new authority in Sordland. I spent the next few hours shaking hands, joining various conversations, some serious, some superficial, and making speeches. We finally settled down at our dinner table with the Vectorns, as the band started playing some slow jazz tunes. That was tiring. I have to get used to it. Well, suddenly a loud banging noise echoed from outside the ballroom, then another one, and another. The musicians stopped playing. Everyone in the room was looking around in confusion. Peter and I turned towards each other, realization dawning on both of our faces. Fireworks? No, gunshots! As soon as Monica heard the word, she lunged from her seat. Shield Monica and the kids. I threw myself on Monica, Diana, and Frank to shield them. Papa, what's happening? I knew it. We never should have come. Chaos broke out as some guests flung themselves under their tables and others ran towards the doors screaming. Diana burst into tears while Frank tried to comfort her, hiding the fear in his own eyes. 3 more gunshots rang out loudly. Mr. President, are you alright? Carl Greiser, head of the Swordage police force, was running towards us with 3 more police officers in decorated uniforms. They all had their guns drawn. I want to take a look at this. Swordage police officer and administrator who is the current Greater Holdsword police chief. He assumed the position in 1950 and was sworn in by Mayor Lilius Graf in a public ceremony. Prior to his appointment to this position, he served as the chief of police in Arvery in the 40s. Ah, okay, same place as Lilius. Interesting. In law enforcement with his appointment to Arvery Police Academy in late 1920. After graduating in the top 10% of his academy class, he was sworn as a patrolman to serve the citizens of downtown Arvery. Appointed Deputy Commissioner of Operations in this capacity, he improved department strategies and tactics for reducing crime and solving concerns of the diverse communities of Arvery. After 1947, he transferred to the capital and briefly served as Inspector and Chief of Detectives before his appointment as Police Chief. As soon as he made it to us and saw that we were unharmed, he let out a big sigh of relief. Thank God. Status report. Oh, 1 second, Mr. President. He turned around quickly to his men. Check the perimeter, now! Paul, Hansen, follow my lead. We'll bring them to the safe room. He now turned to Monica, Evelyn, and the children and spoke in a softer voice. Do not worry, the situation is now under control. Please, follow me. We promptly followed Carl through the winding halls and corridors of the palace. His men still had their guns drawn, which did nothing to ease attention. On the way, Peter made an attempt to break the silence. What a fucking night. You could say that again. Carl turned to us with a serious face as we were about to round a corner. Quiet, please. Sorry, I talk when I get nervous. Peter, shut up. Carl had flipped a switch on the wall and a panel opened, revealing a hidden staircase leading to a large reinforced door. Inside, a set of emergency lights flickered on. The safe room was comfortable and spacious, with expensive-looking leather sofas. Small security monitors on the walls displayed grainy footage of each room in the palace. There was a boardroom and a pantry containing enough provision to last us months. Monica and Evelyn sat the children down and started wiping their tears. Carl stepped away from us and made a few radio calls. When he was done, he returned to me and Peter. So tell me, Carl, do I have clowns for security? No, I'm not going to say that. So what's the status? Carl's radio suddenly crackled to life. Every second felt like an eternity as he pressed his ear to the receiver. When it fell silent, he turned to us. Good news. We are not in any danger at the moment. This situation has been dealt with, and the perimeter has been secured by the guards and police. He glanced towards Monica, Evelyn, and the kids. If I may, sir. He gestured towards a more private corner of the room and started speaking more quietly. This is what we know so far. We have confirmed that 2 police were gunned down in front of the palace. The attacker is one of them. Sorry. This is what we know so far. We have confirmed that 2 people were gunned down in front of the palace. The attacker is one of them, and we have reason to believe he was working alone. He fired 3 shots at an MP, 1 to the head, 2 to the body, instantly killing him. Presidential guards at the palace immediately shot and killed the attacker. He has not been identified yet and will require investigation. The MP that was killed was identified as Bernard Circus. This is huge, Anton. This will cause a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Peter pulled out 2 cigarettes and handed me one. He then turned to Evelyn. I could hear him trying to reassure her that everything was going to be alright. Monica was still trying to tend to Diana as Frank paced the room, mumbling that he should have stayed at home. Come for Monica and the kids. I sat down beside my wife and children. We are safe. I'll make sure everything's going to be fine. We can't be sure of anything anymore, Anton. I lit my cigarette and took a deep drag. I was going to see this through and keep my family safe. At all costs. I crushed the cigarette on the ashtray. Mansoon Lek is a Swordist politician of British descent, member of the Assembly, and the current leader of the Independents. He was a leader of the pro-British Workers' Party of Blodia. Wait, is there anything else? No. Security increased. Oh, this probably made this a little... Yeah, that's not great. This is a cool change, though. I like having this available. Security measures at the Capitol have been heightened after the murder of Bernard Circus. The mayor of Holzord reports that everything is under control. Oops, I wanted to check something. Who's the mayor? USP, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be looking more at that one. Increased with the combined efforts of the Holzord Police Department and the Presidential Guard. Additionally, the entrance procedures to the palace are being revised and with advice from security professionals. Police Chief Carl Greiger reported that an investigation has been launched on the murder of Bernard Circus. MP shot, nation in shock. Rayne welcomes Victor's words. Alright. The mood in the Situation Room was gloomy. My cabinet members were gathered to discuss the shooting outside the palace. Lowe's presented the initial report. Bernard Circus was shot dead at 9:03 p.m. in front of the palace gates. He was an elected independent member of Assembly, and as you know, a famous communist. She spat out the last word with some distaste. The guards at the scene were 50 meters away and immediately took action by responding and killing the assailant, who was identified as a member of the nationalist organization Young Swords. Right-wing nationalist political organization with alleged connections to a number of armed attacks against the Swordist government. They were a youth organization that had close ties to the National Front Party. Often has been associated with the Black Battalion, been linked to party's more violent wing. Often hides behind these claims by highlighting its cultural work. General Darren, yeah. Later, historians identified that entity to have activities corresponding to that of a death squad, a staunchly pan-swordist organization in the early 1930s. Young swords have managed to extend their area of operation into sword-speaking post-revolution Vagsland. Interesting. Inconclusive reports that both the Whole Sword Police and Supreme Court had dealings with them. Interesting. That's very interesting. I want to look up the Red Youth, actually. Organizations. Miscellaneous? No, political. Red Youth. Engaged in urban warfare with right-wing militants. They managed to gather support in many universities around Sordland. Interesting. The president's family were unharmed. Praise God. What are the motivations of such a horrid act? Our investigators are suspecting a political assassination, since the young swords have been threatening the communists for some time. This may well create a dangerous atmosphere where the left versus right political violence of the 1920s could spark once again. A return to those days would be devastating. The coups are the reason why our country stagnated for a decade. Nia Morgna, the Minister of Justice, sighed. I want to learn more about her. Politician and attorney from the Swordish region of Bersia. Huh, interesting. I didn't know she was from Bersia. Minister of Justice and Law, became a member of the United Sordland Party in 1949. Vice Minister of Justice. She also taught law in Direct University of Culture. Interesting. A strong critique of Turkensol's programs. She earned a reputation from her fight against corruption in the ministry among protests from the Supreme Court. She's regarded as one of the most experienced attorneys who worked for the government. She eventually gave her support to Anton Rayne. Yes, it's a very cute little detail that I like about it. Welcome back, Minecraft man. But yeah, I really like that detail, that you know, familiarity of like picking the salad and that boosting your ability to have a discussion is interesting. Very subtle, but like, well, I mean, subtle in the social context. I mean, shouldn't matter, but those things do. The Red Youth has condemned the killing, but didn't stop there. They promised revenge. This will in turn spark further aggression from the young swords. The whole cycle started because Bernard Circus expressed his views. We can't simply look away. And he had always been one of the only members of the Justice Ministry truly deserving of the name. She had survived countless attacks on her character while fighting corruption within the ministry, and rising to power has only compounded her sense of moral duty. I'm not doing a dictatorship reform. I'm going full reform here. Freedom of expression is part of our constitution. We can't have anyone, let alone an MP, shot for voicing different opinions. I fully agree. We should protect freedom of speech. Our laws do, and for good reason. Silencing voices only results in fear and stagnation inside society. We had that before and know very well how it was. I hear your concerns. Our police will do their best to uphold the rights of our citizens. We will prevent such an act from happening again by making sure our security measures are reevaluated. Minister of Defense Josef Langtia grunted in approval. He towered over the rest of us in full military uniform, his many war medals conspicuously on display. Past reform, the only old guard members who will support women's rights should be Vulcan. He can double the conscripts. I don't think conscription is necessarily a good strategy, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Agreed, ma'am. Our gendarmerie will also help boost security in the rural areas where possible. There might be more violence to come. Safety and public order. Most people began to identify the gendarmerie with the state itself. Okay. There might be more violence to come. We should refrain from making this issue a political one from the start. It will only add fuel to the fire. You are right. We need to defuse the situation. Our government is capable to maintain security. Our job will be to reduce tensions. Several police cars rushed past the Maroon Palace, and everyone went silent. Regardless, a full investigation to all involved parties is underway. We will find the subversives and punish them soon enough, Mr. President. I'll do my best to help coordinate the administrative tasks. Justice will be served, and the rule of law will return to this country stronger than ever. Only if we stay vigilant as a country. We must think about the upcoming budget. We should not lose sight of our real political goals, like the constitutional reforms. Or... we should not lose sight of our real political goals, like the constitutional reforms. Agreed. These matters shouldn't distract us from what the people want us to do. Lucian took some notes after checking the latest newspapers and reports. It seems that the tensions between the communists and nationalists will escalate further. It will be very difficult to pass any meaningful change if there's chaos in the country. We can't pass any constitutional reform in such an atmosphere. No use worrying about it now. Let's analyze the effects first. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That will be all for today then. We will convene again soon. Thank you all and keep us updated. The meeting concluded and the ministers left the room with concerned looks. It was hard to anticipate what would happen next. Murder at the palace. Reporters indicate a politically motivated assault by the far-right nationalists of the Young Swords. Shocking photographs have been leaked to the press showing blood-dripped stairs of the Maroon Palace. We heavily condemn this sort of political violence. This is the very cycle the president must break with reforms. Alright. I think that will conclude episode 1. Wow. That was so much fun. I'm so happy to be back. This was great. Let's quickly go through our decisions and we'll reconvene next time. We've won the election. We are going with a free market economy. We declared our intentions to work with the reformists for the reform of the Constitution. Accepted the new offer to privately meet with the new CEO of HOS. We're going to meet with him. I vetoed a new electoral campaign finance bill that was passed by the Assembly. Yeah, that bill would have been pretty anti-democratic. I'm pretty happy we shut it down and got the support of Franz Richter. L1 high-speed railway would be the first infrastructure project of my turn. Let's hope for that. And decide to invest in Armadine Industries, an electronics company, which I think will be valuable in long term. Hopefully, if we can keep everything together. Man, it's so great to be back. This was wonderful. I had a really great time. I will be back soon, hopefully about next week. Why do women's rights cost 2 government budget? I think that has to go with the infrastructure needed to push something like that. All the judicial reforms, all the increased, like for example, I think part of the bill is to build women's shelters. So I think it makes a lot of sense when you think about it from that perspective. But we'll see that. We'll see that bill later down the line. But anyway, everybody who came to watch this, thank you so much. The VOD will be going up. Hopefully, I will be making these into shorter form episodes, but yeah, I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be playing this game again. Thank you so much to Torpor Games for creating this incredible piece. I am so excited to what they do next. I'm really excited to get the full extent of what's in the 3.1 update too. But with all that out of the way, thank you all so much for watching. I absolutely loved being here. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope you will all join me again next week. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and more importantly, comment. I love talking to you all. Thank you, Minecraft Man, for being a part of this. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to just have people around that, like, you know, appreciate what I do. And yeah, I think I will leave it there. Take care, have a wonderful night, and thank you all again for watching. Bye-bye.